Welcome back to the Built for Profit podcast. Guys, I am so thrilled today to have Jorge with me on the podcast. We were just chatting a little bit right before we clicked record. He has a remarkable story that I can't wait to dive into about what happened to him in 2008, how he had to pivot and readjust kind of his whole life through that. So can't wait to dive into that. We talked a little bit about small business and treating small business like a small business versus an enterprise. So we'll dive into that as well. Jorge, I'm like super fired up to hear your story. We're talking about your 3 kids as well. And so number 1, welcome to the podcast. And then number 2, I would love you just to kind of tell your story a little bit. How did you get into real estate? How did you get into really where you're at today, and a little bit of the background that got you there?
Thank you, Austin. It's an honor to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I started, believe it or not, as a licensed financial advisor. I was a licensed financial advisor for many years. But a lot of my clients said, we know you're doing real estate on the side. So a lot of the clients were like, okay, we like the annuities, we like the mutual funds, but can we jump into the real estate stuff with you? And then social media came, MySpace before Facebook. And then I was doing both. And then, of course, my broker dealer said, no, pick one side, either stocks or real estate. Because they saw me saying stuff on MySpace, believe it or not, MySpace.
Yeah.
That tells you how old I am. But
I love it.
And after a while, I was like crushed, man. I was super crushed because I liked offering the advice to the family starting, like the 401k plans, the 529 plans and stuff like that. But I had to make a decision. So I ended up going with the real estate side because I just felt like there was more velocity when it comes to, helping people retire early and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I went that route. There was no bigger pockets around. There was nobody that could tell me. I just knew that I wanted to present real estate the same way that I was presenting mutual funds, with like a prospectus, a graph. And that was about 20 years ago when I started. Okay. That's how I started.
Wow. Okay. So 20 years ago. Yeah. So that would have been what, 2005, 2006 area.
Yeah.
And so walk us through, obviously that was, a few years before 2008. So can you kind of walk us through that journey of how you navigated that and pivoting from financial advisor to real estate and then seeing that world flip upside down?
I'm telling you, man, I mean, from a person that lived it, it was super bad, man. 2007, 8 was, people worry about mini recessions now, or is the market in a recession? Nothing compared to what happened in 2008. 45 short sales, and I didn't get one showing in 2 years.
Wow.
People were not interested in buying. I remember exactly the day, December 2007, when my last stated type of, one of those creative banks said to me, we're not longer doing those type of loans. And that was the last bank. And I think it was Bank of America doing statement-only loans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So all of these loans that were making the market take off, all of these creative loans were completely gone by the end of 2007. And I was thinking thinking like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
What am I going to do because most investors have the credit, but they can't show the income, of course. You own 4, 5, 6 properties, the liability is too big.
Yeah.
In order to, it's hard to justify with just your salary income and even the rents to justify that you make it off. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And for the next 2-3 years, it was very rough. And I ended up pretty much losing everything, Austin. I lost 22 homes. Lost my primary home. I lost my marriage. I was this close to committing suicide.
My goodness.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was super crazy. And I'm so thankful that I'm still here and that I was able to bounce back. It was very good.
Yeah, Jorge, obviously I can't even imagine, obviously, everything that you were feeling, obviously properties, marriage. Yeah. Can you describe a little bit what was the maybe pivotal moment in that season of your life that wanted you to keep going, wanted you to kind of continue to build? And obviously you're in real estate now and it didn't pull you away from real estate. And so I'm curious, can you think back to a moment where you were like, this is the thing that like helped me push through the valley to get to the other side.
So absolutely. The reason why I was so hard on myself is because I was young, right? I was in my early 20s, and I thought I was invincible.
Yeah.
I didn't want to listen to anybody, and I was a show off. I had almost $1 million home at
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
I had all the cars in the world. Traveled the world a few times, so I was very cocky and very naive, and I thought I was invincible. And the market humbled me.
Yeah.
But you know how hard it is for somebody in that age to take a hit like that. So I felt like I was a failure. I didn't want my friends to know. I didn't
Yeah.
want my family to know. I actually hid it until the end, until pretty much I was on the street. I didn't ask for any help. I was too proud to do
Wow.
that. And I got divorced. And one day laying on pretty much without no furniture, no utilities, the mortgage company about to foreclose on my last property, my primary home. I met one of the clients and by the way, my friend, I owe $500,000 to individuals.
Wow. Okay.
So if I owe $500,000 to banks, I would be like, screw the banks. But I
Yeah.
owe $500,000 to regular people, and I got a lot of threats. Like I had some international clients.
Yeah.
I remember a client. I'm not gonna mention the country, but he came to my house, showed me a gun, and said, "This is how we deal with. Uh, uh, I wish I could show you how we deal with debt in my country."
Wow.
So it was super stressful. I was alcoholic for. It was the only way to sleep because I was getting threat calls like, "Hey, you owe me money," et cetera, et cetera. And the reason I was owing money to people is because I was thinking the whole time, next year's gonna get better. Next year's gonna get better, and
Yeah.
I'll keep borrowing from investors. Let me 50 for payroll. And I had 30 employees, so I was like, but yeah, eventually it blew up in my face. Um, And right when I was gonna, I was like, I lost complete hope. One of those investors came to me, and I thought he was gonna yell at me or do something to me. He just grabbed me by the hand and said, "I want you to come to church with me."
No
And I
way.
was like, "What? But I'm not religious. I don't even believe in God or anything." He's like, "No, no, come with me." And I'm still not super religious, but I swear to God, somebody talked to me. Somebody said to me, "Jorge, get up. You're gonna redo this again." And I was like, "Oh, I feel like you and I talking here, like God talked to me and do this thing." I don't know if it's because my own brain made it up because I was going crazy, or God really talked to me. I want to believe it was God.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, I was like, okay, I gotta find a way of redoing this again. And I called one of my other investors that I still owe money to, and I said, "Hey, can you lend me $10,000? I want to restart this thing again. I know the mistakes I've made in the past. I'm not gonna spend $1 until I pay everybody off. I'm gonna leave in my car if I have to, but give me the opportunity." Within a year, I sold 100 houses to one individual and paid off my debt in a year.
Wow.
$500,000. Here's a paradox. If Austin, if you ask me to do it again, I can't do it again.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to replicate that, but necessity is the mother of invention. You see that when you're against the wall, all of a sudden, boom, just to one guy, I sold 100 properties to one guy. And it wasn't easy because back then I had an F on the Better Business Viewer. It was showing as I closed one business. So pretty much what I did once the investor said, "Hey, here's $10,000. Go ahead. I believe in you. I know that you learn from your mistakes." And dude, I made 6,000 phone calls that year. 6,000 phone calls. I wanted to do 100 phone calls a day, nonstop. Until I landed a client, a pretty big client. It was a small hedge fund. I didn't know at the time. I just know that he was just a regular investor. His name was Robert. And I'm like, Robert, give me an opportunity. He knew I had experience because I could talk the talk. But then when he looked me up, he saw all the things in my credit history and, my stuff online. He's like, no, I don't want to do business with you. And I'm, Robert, please give me an opportunity, man.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of mistakes. I'm not that person anymore. Give me a break. He said to me, I'm gonna give you a break, but if I'm from New York, if you mess up with me, I'm gonna break your legs. He was like 80. He would have never been able to break my legs. But he scared the crap out of me. And of course, I was like, okay, here's my opportunity. And everything that could go wrong with the first investment went wrong, of course.
Wow. Yeah.
Like I had to dug my own sewer line out because I ran out of money and I was
Wow.
supposed to turn in this property, turnkey on time. And I ran out of money, so I had to do it myself. I remember breaking my back doing that. And finally, the day come, he looks at the property. He's like, man, this is pretty good. Let me go ahead and, let's do business together. And then he bought like another 85 properties from me.
Wow. Okay, Jorge, there's two things I want to mention there. This is, number one, I appreciate you sharing that. I know it's hard to share, but really appreciate you sharing that because I think that's going to be very, very powerful for people to hear. I am a believer, and so there's no doubt in my mind it was the Lord speaking to you in that moment to pull you out of the valley that you were in. He specializes in that stuff, so I think that's just a remarkable thing, and I appreciate you sharing that. What a kind friend, too, as an investor for somebody that you own money to, grabbed your hand and said, let's go to church. I just love that story so much. That was obviously a very pivotal moment for you in your life, so I appreciate you sharing that. And then number two, I want to kind of dive into that first year. You said, sold 100 homes, made 6,000 phone calls. That's just remarkable. Like you said, when you're backed into a corner, it's the mother of invention. Those 100 homes, were they all flips where you would go buy in, investors would come in, you would buy, flip it, and then sell it for a profit? Or was something that you were just a real estate agent where you were just trying to sell homes? Because I know in that time, there weren't a lot of homes that were probably selling. So talk us through the process of how you got to those 100 homes in that year.
So first of all, for investors, there's always the cycle. It's always good for an investor. It depends what type of investor you're looking for. So if the market is where properties are too pricey, then investors are going to look for flips, and they're going to want to ride the wave of appreciation.
Yeah,
If the
yeah, yeah.
market is tanking, they're going to want to buy deals. So yeah, in this case, I wasn't even licensed. I was doing assignments. So I did 100 assignments. 100 assignments. As a
Wow.
matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I got my license, because an agent tried to sue me like, hey, he's doing business without a license. And that's when that's when my lawyer says, just get the license. How hard can it be? It wasn't hard at all. Got the license. But yes, it was only assignments. At that moment, I was charging $3,000 per assignment.
Okay.
So that's how I made like 300,000, something like that from that client. And then everything else, I did it individually.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's so powerful. That's remarkable. Okay, so talk as you obviously got you were doing a little bit of everything during that year to make ends meet, got your investors paid off. And so what was the time frame during you said that was what 2009, 2010, 2011 time frame? What did that look like there?
It was 2000. It was around end of 2009.
Okay.
From the end of 2009 to the end of 2010, where
Okay.
I
Okay.
started taking off again around there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It
So
took
obviously
like 2-3 years to really start moving.
okay. Okay. So then obviously once you paid off debt, moving forward, got your license. So what did life look like after that? When you said like, okay, I'm still going to play in this real estate game. I know what I'm doing. I know how to play safer this time. So what were you focused on building if you can take yourself back to that season?
So I think it's the same as now. I think that I've been carried the same idea until now, which is, one property at a time, making sure that I'm 100% transparent, making sure that I don't live beyond my means. still have the same 2010 Camry.
Love it.
Now I own probably $15 million in real estate, and I still drive the same car. So there's some massive changes where if I don't if I don't make it, I shouldn't have it. So if I don't have the money to own that car, I'm not gonna have it. And I did a lot of house hacking. So when I was doing assignments, I was doing house hacking, and a lot of people ask me, "What is the easiest way to build a portfolio without cash?" House hacking.
Yeah, yeah,
The toughest part is convincing the wife, but
yeah.
I put a plan together in front of her. I said, "Okay," and I put out a board. My wife Jocelyn, love her to death. She's my inspiration. Um, and I said, "All right, so we're gonna live in the hood, the first property. Second property is gonna be kind of like a little better, and progressively, by property 10, I'm gonna buy you a mansion." So, any questions? And then so I sold the strategy to her, but it wasn't easy because the first properties had leaks. The first properties, the whole house would get flooded, or we were in sketchy neighborhoods and things like that. So that's why when she asks me for anything now, I'm like, whatever you want, honey.
Yeah.
But that's how so a combination of keeping it real, maintaining my expenses low,
Yeah.
focusing on the client transparency. Because the one thing that this industry doesn't have a lot when it comes to off market deals is a lot of transparency.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, if I could be the go-to person that avoids people from going to people like what I used to be, like on so unresponsible like that, then that's the route I want to go. And that's
Yeah.
the route I went.
Yeah, that's so good. And so walk us back to those, buy you a mansion once we hit 10. I love that, just the vision behind it, the goal set with you and your wife. For each property, you would live in it, fix it up, do whatever you need to do, then have enough to buy the next property. Were you always keeping the original property? So then by the time you bought that 10th mansion, you kept all the previous 9? Is that how that worked for you?
I kept them all pretty much, but one. There was one where I was like, so I mean, you review the asset and you said, okay, is this more of a cash flow asset or this is more of an equity asset?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there was one in particular that, Seminole Heights, if you know anything about the Seminole Heights area, gentrification all over, that I was like, man, this one has like 200,000 in equity. It just makes sense to let go. So I could put the money towards 2 or 3 more properties. But usually I don't sell nothing. I think that I've interviewed a lot of investors from, the small guys like me to the billionaires, and the only regret is ever selling anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not
I've
a
heard
seller.
that too.
I'm not a seller.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And you have to have discipline in those moments, but it's awesome to hear that you live that out. So, okay, so tell us about what life looks like now. Obviously, from a team standpoint, who's your ideal client? Are you mainly dealing with investors and doing property management? Kind of coach us through all the different services that you provide as a business and what that looks like.
So let me start by saying my business model is I've always wanted to have a recession-proof business because of what happened to me in 2008. I feel like I'm a veteran of war. And I
Yeah,
was like, man, I don't want to go through the nightmares again. So I want to have a business that is recession-proof. So I saw a lot of my friends that are in the industry that have been with me for a long time hit a whole bunch of home runs. I was okay with hits. I just wanted to pace myself.
yeah.
And the way I was going to do that is to also incorporate the property management part. And I'm very blessed to say that property management covers my bills now.
Wow. Yeah.
So that allows me to exponentially be even more resourceful to our clients. Do you hear that background noise? Or is it just
Yeah.
me?
Occasionally, we can edit all this out. Occasionally, you'll hear some noise, but we can edit all of that noise
Okay.
out
I
so
hear
it'll
like
just pick up your
crickets or
voice.
something. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like crickets, but I don't know if it's on. Sometimes this platform, Riverside, does that, but I
Okay.
promise you, we'll edit all that stuff out.
As long as you get, so let me reset there. So yeah, I wanted to create a recession-proof business. Because I didn't want to go through that again. And I knew that PM was one of those things that is through every cycle somebody needs PM. And I'm glad to say that now PM covers our bills, and then it allows us to exponentially be even more unbiased when it comes to advising people. We really truly want to advise people based on their own scenario, and so yes, we now we have a property management company that does property management throughout the state from Jacksonville to Tampa. Yep. Um, we also have a lending arm. We're a licensed lender. We specialize on investor loans. And we have a brokerage with about 40 agents. And we also have, of course, the acquisitions and dispositions company that specializes on finding of market deals. So an investor comes to us, we'll find in the deal, underwrite it. They will make a decision on the off-market deal until they have the inspections. It's not sight unseen. They're gonna get everything. And then after that, we're gonna give them a quote of performance guaranteed quote that we're gonna say, okay,
Oh,
the recap is gonna be $10,290. Be the same guys that do PM. They've been with us for a long time that they don't want to mess up
yeah,
with also the client. And we put all of that on a pro forma. If the client says I'm interested, we do everything from A to Z.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that's it.
One quick point you just mentioned that I love. You said a guaranteed perform or like talk us through that process of like when you find the property for an investor and say like we know it will bring in this from a cash flow standpoint or rental income standpoint. So is that something that y'all's company guarantees and you just allow margin in that or kind of coach us through how you do that?
So the guarantees on the performance itself, we're gonna be able to say this is what the asset is worth, and we're gonna validate it with a CMA or even an appraisal.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go, this is what the rehab needs to be done. For a flip, it's gonna be X, Y, and Z. We're gonna validate that with a GC that's gonna commit to doing it for that amount. If it's something smaller, then we're gonna validate it to one of our handymen, and they're gonna say, we're gonna do it for that. So at the end, you have a true number.
Yeah.
All capital in versus what is gonna be your monthly.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest problem with the off-market business. A lot of stuff are never verified. So
Yeah.
you work with a lot of wholesalers that are like sight unseen. I need the deposit yesterday.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you have physical problems with the property, but also title problems with the property. So we're gonna knock on wood. We've never had that situation before.
Yeah. That's great. I love it. Okay. Well, tell me what you're dreaming about. What does 5 years, 10 years down the road look like for you and your company?
So you talked about businesses, right? And I love the Shark Tank. So I think that I would have been in a better position now if I would have started my company thinking that I'm building an enterprise versus a small business, right?
Smart.
And thank God that one of my early on partners sold companies that were millions and millions of dollars. Taught me early on, hey, you need to have your board meetings, you need to have your registry of risks, you need to have all of these things in order to validate the data.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens with a lot of small businesses, and to answer that question is I want to be able to build my PM more. So we have 1,000 accounts where the cash flow is coming in, and we can stay very exclusive with the clients and the amount of people that we do business with, and then do a little bit of angel investing and helping other businesses, rinse and repeat. I'm Hispanic, so probably we hit the Hispanic community or something like that to help them. Because you see so many crushed dreams. Right? You drive by shopping malls and you see the name of a business come in and come out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I get heartbroken. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, they put all their money, they only lasted 6 months.
Yeah. Exactly.
But then when you look at, they have a fantastic product, but when you look at how they present that product is completely wrong. You know, how they come about it. Starting from the sign, the colors of the sign that don't talk about food, talk about money, a blue
Yeah.
sign for food or something like that. So be able to help people. But yes, long term, would like to continue. I thought I was gonna and I just recently bought my partner in because he wanted to buy the business, and he always bought and sold businesses. So the original idea was not to turn this into a lifestyle business. But then with time, I realized I love this. I mean,
Yeah.
what else am I gonna do? And I realized recently that I wanted to keep it as a lifestyle business. So I'll probably continue doing the same thing for a long time.
Yeah. That's great, Jorge. I love it. I think there's power in building something that you love showing up for every single day that also provides for your family and allows you to do things in a creative way. So, yeah, I love that so much. I think that there's power in that for sure. Okay, so talk us through as you dream about getting to, I think you said 1,000 clients. I guess that's on the PM side. What is that? What do you feel like right now is working well inside your business? The things that y'all feel like you're doing well, and then what do you feel like is the biggest bottleneck that's, or maybe the holes in the bucket that you're trying to fix to get to that vision that you want to live out?
I think the bottleneck is properties. If we will have more and more properties, we can sell more properties because we do pretty good when it comes to clients. We have an amazing reputation online. Right now, I'm very proud to say if you ask ChatGPT what are the best real estate investing companies in Tampa, there's a 90% chance it's going to say Greystone. Okay.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Pretty cool, right? And then also, if you Google investing in Tampa anywhere in the world, we're gonna be the number one in the world investing in Tampa. And you could try it right now, and you can see.
Wow.
So the clients we get them, we have a good reputation. We get a lot of walking traffic. I think that mainly being able to have more properties will help. But at the same time, we're not gonna jeopardize our service for volume. We're fine at the pace that we're going right now. When it comes to the best thing of our company, I believe that PM is one of the best things. It's a unique combination of outsourcing plus tech plus real boots in the ground. Um, this is my fourth time attempting the best formula. What I think gave me an edge a little bit is I also went to school for computer programming back in
Okay.
the early 2000s.
Wow.
So I was messing with, when I mentioned MySpace, I was already ahead. I already had a website even before that. And that's a different story. I could tell you about it later. But I had a social media before MySpace and all of that social media page that was around for a little bit.
Yeah.
But a combination of tech, a combination of boots on the ground, a combination of outsourcing. I think I got my first BA 15 years ago when people didn't even know what a BA was. Um, and then I always challenged my team, let's, what can we outsource? And the tech just got a lot better. Where we have 15 people for 300 properties. So unlike most property management companies that have one for every 100, we have 15 for 300. And that's including boots on the ground. That's including the guys, the tech guys on the phone. You always get a phone call picked up. I think are strong, and we don't even charge the first month of rent.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
So
that's
we
great.
place the tenant for free. We place the tenant for free. No junk fees. No fees on top of repairs. No renewal fees. No cancellation fees. Only 10% straight in most cases. Okay, I have to say most cases, otherwise my PM
Yeah.
manager will kill me. But in most cases, it's 10%.
Yeah.
It's just investors managing for other investors.
Yeah.
So we know what's important.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's so much power for you to have your own properties involved in that mix, right? So you are an investor, like you said. I love that. Investors investing for investors.
Yes.
I think that's great. So, well, coach us through. You talked about board meetings and like treating your business like an enterprise, like I love, no matter if it's in the small business category or not. I'm curious when you get in on these board meetings to try to track the health of your business. Are there any like specific like key performance indicators or like what are you looking at when you're trying to understand like where are we at as a company and are we healthy?
I think it's under identifying where the client is coming from. Identifying the biggest bang for the dollar is what people miss, because most small businesses do the gunshot approach. Like, we're going to offer everything in the menu,
Yeah.
5 billion things.
Yeah.
But you never can ever identify, what if you only did pizza? What if you only did two things really well? What would that look like when it comes to the cost savings? And how much more can you focus on improving this product?
Yeah.
So to me, it's identification is the most important thing. Identifying what's working and what's not working.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Aside
so
from
go ahead.
improvement too, because a lot of companies just hire somebody and throw him there. We have an employee improvement plan. Like, what is next for you? What is next for you? Because people get tired of doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
that combination of those two things.
So let me back up because I'd love to dive into those 2 just really briefly. So, obviously, where are the clients coming from? Are you spending the best bang to for your buck to get that back from the client standpoint? Is that strictly just on, like, a lead generation type thing that you're looking for from, like, marketing spend to, like, are we picking up the correct investors that meet our criteria as well as, like, picking up the right properties that meet our criteria? Is that what you're talking about, or can you kinda go into that lane a little bit more? And then second question after that would be, I would love to know, what does the employee improvement plan look like? Are you meeting with them monthly, quarterly? Like, how do you set the, I guess, scoreboard for the employee, if you will, of how to get to that next step? If you wouldn't mind diving into those 2
Sure,
things, I love it.
sure. So yeah, it starts with the marketing dollar for sure. You think about how inundated we are with social media, and we're like, oh, let me post this on social media. Let me post this. And then when you do Google Analytics, you're like, man, Reddit is way better than Facebook, or LinkedIn is better. So it's like, take your time to analyze, because otherwise you're fooling yourself. So it starts with that. Then retention.
Yeah,
Okay, and then we could look at the risk registry and say, where did those risks came from?
yeah,
Okay, let's identify the bad apples, and those are the clients that we don't want. And actually, you can say, where did those clients come from? Let's do less of that.
great.
So retention is also important. Where you go, what are the clients, and then I think finding a identity long term. Saying after you go through these steps a whole bunch of times, you go with you create a culture, you figure out what are your culture values that tie to everything, and then you identify who you are, and then now you start from the beginning. You start from the marketing, but the marketing is more meaningful. It's target to the culture that you want to do, and then it fits the circle, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, that's great. I
Makes sense.
love the discipline to go back and find your bad apples and trace it back to where they came from. I think that's so smart, and it's probably overlooked by so many people. Just to say like, okay, they're in our ecosystem. We don't want them in our ecosystem because they're causing pain points. We need them out. But you have to evaluate where did they come from. And I love that point that you're talking about to tie it all the way back in to say like, where are we spending the right dollars on the front end to make sure that we're not just getting more bad apples down the road, which is
Yeah, I mean,
beautiful.
and each of those bad apples cost you. You don't think it costs you. Like, no, there's just people. That's just traffic. No, what about the people that have to reply to it? What about even the karma? Even if it's not a good fit, having to deal with the vibe with
Yeah.
people because it's not a good fit, and now you're like your day, you're exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Is there anything that you're tracking on a monthly or weekly or however the cadence looks like to understand, like, are we creating enough margin in our business to reinvest for growth? Or like, how do you think about profit from the different entities that you're running?
Absolutely, we do quarterly profit meetings. We gotta figure out, yes. And in our case, it's kind of like all like a wheel. Like we know there's certain times certain departments are gonna be do better than others. Like for instance, the minute that rates went up, all of a sudden we said, okay, lending's gonna be less relevant. The other three had to pick up the pace. Yeah, so we look at where the income is coming in a quarterly basis. We meet with all of our leaders and we go, what's working, what's not working. We make the adjustments necessary. Sometimes it's a little bit of the staff. We try not to. Sometimes it's just, all right, we know that this is going to happen. It's the holidays. Let's wait a little bit. But that's how we track it.
Yeah, that's great. I love it, Jorge. That's great. Well, cool. As we wrap up a little bit, I'm curious, is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that's just on your mind that you'd love to speak about?
Well, you mentioned about employment growth,
Yeah.
employee growth.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I suck at it, but I brought a COO that's really good at it because you need somebody. So the first thing you need to do is admit that you're not good at it
Yeah. It's great.
because faking it not gonna get you anywhere. If you have to go and say, because you're one of those people that are a workaholic and from meeting to meeting to meeting, and all of a sudden you have to stop for 5 seconds to say Merry Christmas to the team, but your face is like Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
That's not doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I think the way that we're blessed, I have a partner that doesn't focus on profit at all. He focuses on culture, culture,
That's
culture.
good.
culture of accountability, and everybody's accountable because of the culture, and that's who we are, right? Not something that we mandate, And yeah, and then we run every year. We do reviews, and it's not so much, believe it or not, most of the time, an employee is not about the money, but it's about feeling that they're growing. But you need to be able to identify that from them. We do cultural events, so every week.
Cool.
Yeah, every 2 weeks, even with our guys in India and the Philippines, we do a 1 hour of jokes, culture event every 2 weeks. So we could tie, like we could become
Yeah,
closer family.
that's so good.
Um, and super important. I know, Mr. CEO out there that are you listening to this? I know you're busy. This might not be for you. Find somebody because it's not. It's hard for me, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
It's hard for me to go into that culture event and be there for an hour and not get anxious. Like,
yeah.
I want to be doing something. And if that's the case, you're not good for it. You
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
get somebody. But it's so important for retention. I don't think, knocking wood, we haven't lost anybody in years.
Wow.
You know how hard that
Yeah,
is?
that is
How it
pretty
is?
remarkable.
So I wanted to bring that up as well.
No, Jorge, I appreciate you saying that, man, because there's so much power. The first thing you said, know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, and build a team of the things that you're not good at. I think that is brilliant advice because, like, in culture, like you said, and the stats are out there, right? Anybody can go look those things up to say, like, it costs a company so much more money when you have common turnover to retrain somebody, to reinvest in that person, to get them back up to speed from where the previous person was. And so for you to sit there and say, like, I have a person that invests in culture because we know the power of it and we're seeing from that means that we haven't lost anybody in years. I mean, that is a remarkable thing to say though. So I love what you're doing, man. That's super fun to hear. Love that you know your weaknesses to be able to delegate those things and build the team around it. So that's super, super powerful. So all right, if people want to know more about you, your company, where's the best place to go find you?
So they could go to graystoneig.com. That's graystoneig.com. And as of right now, if you ask ChatGPT best investment, real estate investment company in Tampa, we come up number 1. So that's pretty cool. And yes, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm always open to anybody that wants to do a one-on-one. You could go to graystoneig.com/CEO. I love networking. That's all I do now. Network and have fun and do, interviews and stuff like this. It's a lot of fun to me. Austin, thank you for having me. Hopefully we could do it again. There's so many other topics we could talk about.
For sure. I think we could dive back into obviously the whole story of getting to where you're at. I'm sure there's way more details that you talk, that we could do. Maybe there's a part 2 coming. So, all right, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate the time and really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.